Hey there, Nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another episode of Tales from the Tackle Zone. This is our series that's dedicated to Season 2 of our Blood Bowl battle reports with our second campaign. This is game number 5, taking place in the Old World Conference. This game is actually between humans of the Reikland Reavers, which is played by my friend Sister Serial. She's the head coach of the Reikland Reavers, versus my good friend Dark Lord Mac of Nurgle's Rotters. So this is game 5 of the Old World Conference. We're almost to the midway section of our campaign for the Old World Conference. For those of you guys who are tuning in for the very first time, we actually have 12 teams participating in this Blood Bowl League, and all 12 teams are divided amongst 2 conferences. 6 teams are for the Old World Conference, while the other 6 teams are for the New World Conference. So both conferences will play off until eventually in round robin style, until eventually they come down to the championship game, in which case the champion of the Old World Conference will play against the champion of the New World Conference in the final match, which is the Blood Bowl. We're going to treat the Blood Bowl kind of like the Super Bowl from American-style football. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll play some background music real quick. As the music is playing, we will show you videos of both teams as well as their rosters. If you want to see exactly what they're bringing for this battle report, go ahead and pause and take a look at your own leisure. So with that being said, let's get this game on a roll. All right, so we're back for the first half at the kickoff. My friend Dark Lord Max, since he is visiting, he did call heads or tails on the coin. He decided to call heads, but they came up with tails on this one. So the Reikland Reavers won the toss-off. They decided that they were going to decide to kick the ball in the first half, so that way in the second half they could receive the ball instead. So as you can see, the Reikland Reavers have been all assembled up on their kickoff starting position. Same thing with the Nurgle's Rotters for Dark Lord Mac. They're also lined up as well. Now when it came to the kickoff event, the weather for this one is perfect weather for Blood Bowl, so there's no changes for the environmental effect. At the same time, the kickoff event was brilliant coaching. What ends up happening is you take a D6 and you roll and adding any assistant coaches that you might have, and whoever's got the highest has an extra reroll for this drive. Unfortunately for my friends, they don't have any assistant coaches at all, and both of them rolled 3, so it's an absolute tie, which means that nobody gets the extra reroll. Now in the end, the ball decided to bounce right over here, right in the middle between these 2 Pessigors. So with that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 1 for Nurgle's Rotters. Let's get this game on a roll. Alright, so that takes us directly into turn number 1 for Nurgle's Rotters, and for the most part, pretty short-lived turn. What ended up happening is that Dark Lord Mag decided to send his bloaters in forward in order to the main line of scrimmage. As you can see, the bloaters managed to knock off a couple of the players, which is the Ogre, of course, the Thargal, the Immovable. Actually managed to push off a couple of these players up here as well. However, disaster did strike over here in the top here with player number 3 with that bloater. He tries to throw a block. His name is Petrifix Dysplasia. He tries to throw a block to run to one of the players. He got a player down result as well as both players down. He decided to go with both players down instead because a little bit more to his advantage. They both go crashing down, so because that does cause an immediate turnover. It should be known that Dark Lord Mad did not pick up the ball. It looks like he's kind of waiting. I think what he's trying to do is trying to make holes within the defensive line before he decides to pick up the ball and fully commit. So that pretty much ends turn number 1 for Nurgle's Rotters. For turn number 1 over with, we go directly to the bottom of the turn for the Reikland Reavers. Alright, so we go directly to the bottom of turn number 1 for the Reikland Reavers. As you can see, quite a bit of action has taken place for the most part along the wide zones especially. What ended up happening is that these blitzers over here and Blind over here managed to knock down this Rotter, which ends up making a hole right here in the main line to exploit. So because of that, my friend Sister Sarah sent both of her catchers as well as her linemen running through that entry point directly towards the ball to where the Pessigors are, putting pressure on the Pessigors. Meanwhile, on the top over here, the same thing ends up happening. The blitzer, one of the blitzers moved up, pushed this Rotter directly towards the end zone, wide zone rather. So because that opened up this whole entire area as well. So because of that, this thrower actually moves all the way through as well. And then meanwhile, she also stood up the rest of her players to get ready for the next turn. So that pretty much makes up Sister Serial's turn for this one. So we're turn 1 over with the Reikland Reavers. We go directly to the top of turn number 2 for Nurgle's Rotters. All right, so that takes us right to the bottom, top of turn number 2 for Nurgle's Rotters. As you can see, quite a bit of action took place right here along the line of scrimmage primarily. Dark Lord Medic actually managed to push open a hole directly into the center line as well. He also moved one of his Pestigore players, Reimagor, or directly into the center. I think what he was planning on doing originally was to make a hole directly here in the center line, run his Pestigore through directly, so that way his other Pestigore can then either pass the ball or run alongside him and go directly to the end zone. Unfortunately, what ended up happening is that disaster struck. My friend activated McGrar, which is one of his Pestigores. He actually went up in order to grab the ball. Unfortunately for him, though, he actually failed his agility test, so he burned up one of his rerolls to try to pick up again, and the second time around, he rolled a 1, so the ball scattered to the 4 o'clock position over here. So just like that, caused immediate turnover at the end of turn number 2 for Nurgle's Rotters. So with that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 2 for the Reikland Reavers. All right, so it takes directly to the end of turn number 2 for the Reikland Reavers. It was actually pretty short-lived. What ended up happening is that this block over here, player number 9, his name is Max Herzog. He throws a block directly into this Rotter, so that way they're out of the tackle zone and managed to put a power result on him as well and knocked him over. But the main action took place over here in the top when this thrower, player number 8, Aldrich Herzl, he actually tries to sweep around the outside of this character, McGrar, tries to actually pick up the ball. Unfortunately, he rolled a 1 when he came for his agility test. Now, my friend, Sister Star, decided not to burn up a reroll. She said, like, we're only in turn 2. She goes, I want to really save it directly for the second half. So because of the ball bounced over 1 square to the top, and it caused immediate turnover, and an end of turn number 2 for the Reikland Reavers. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 3 for Nurgle's Rotters. All right, so it takes directly to the top of turn number 3 for the Nurgle's Rotters for Dark Lord Mac. As you can see, some dramatic movement once again took place right here in the center portion. Using a combination of blocks as well as a blitz, Dark Lord Mac was able to make a huge gap right here in the main line of scrimmage, pushing back the Ogres as well as these players up to the top. At the same time, he also sent his Pestigore in, Reimagor, who actually slipped through the hole. Looks like he's going to try to throw the balls. Looks like what Dark Lord Mac's going to try to do here in a little bit. Meanwhile, McGrar, his Pestigore actually moves up, picks up the ball, manages to skip the tackle zone out of this catcher, and moves with the rest of his moon allowance. So it looks like my buddy Dark Lord Mac has quite a bit of distance to travel through in order to get directly towards his other player if he wants to do a pass. And that pretty much makes up turn number 3 for this one. So turn number 3 over with, directly above the turn for the Reikland Reavers. All right, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 3 for the Reikland Reavers, and touchdown number 1 for the Reikland Reavers for my friend Sister Sariel. So let's go and talk about exactly what ended up happening. So player number 3, Blitzer, his name is Andre Gaffig. He actually managed to escape the dodge out of the tackle zone out of this rod over here, and blitz all the way across the square directly into McGrar. Managed to get a power result as well. So because of that, McGrar gets thrown back directly up in this top square, and the ball bounces 1 square down below. Now from there, player number 8, he's a catcher. His name is Aldrich Herzl. He moves up 1 square to pick up the ball, passes agility no problem, uses the rest of his movement allowance to go directly towards the end zone, scoring the very first touchdown of the game, making the game 1-0 for the Reikland Reavers. So that being said, we're going directly to the top of the turn. We're going to set up my friends again for re-rack for kickoff, and we'll be right back after this. All right, so now we're back for the kickoff. As you can see, both teams are pretty much lined up for the most part along the line of scrimmage. As you can see, both teams are really much on the offense on this one. At the same time, when the ball actually went for a kickoff, it actually went for brilliant coaching, which basically means that the defensive guys could actually move up players. Sister Sarah was pretty satisfied with her deployment, so she didn't really move up anybody that she didn't want to, so she was perfectly fine there. Now, what ended up happening is for the kickoff ball, the ball actually landed right here smack dab in the middle. It bounced over 6 squares directly to the end zone, causing a touchback. So right off the bat, this Pestigore McGrar will actually start off with the ball within his possession. And so because of that, we go directly to the top of turn number 4 for Nurgle's Rotters. All right, so it takes directly to the top of turn number 4 for Nurgle's Rotters, and Dark Lord Mac once again goes on the offensive on this one. As you can see, his bloaters and the main line of scrimmage actually does a pretty good job of pushing back some players as well as busting up the top half of the line of scrimmage as well. Up here at the same time, his Rotters do exactly the same thing, taking out this blitzer as well, which creates this large passageway that these guys can actually try to slip through, and that's exactly what ends up happening. He takes his Pestigores, McGrar, as well as Reimagor, and actually moves up directly their max and moon allowance directly towards this gap. Looks like he's going to try to slip through this line of scrimmage to try to run the ball directly towards the end zone. This looks like what he's going to try to do there. And that pretty much makes up turn number 4 for Nurgle's Rotters. So with turn number 4 over with, we go directly by the turn for the Reikland Reavers. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 4 for the Reikland Reavers. As you can see, quite a bit of things have happened over here, primarily on the line of scrimmage. For the most part, Sister Sarah stood up most of her players. She tried to go directly towards the top here to intercept using her Ogre in order to do so. Was able to get powers off for the most part. She also moved some of her players directly into this area as well to prevent McGraw from actually making a running pass, trying to pass through anyways by running the ball directly towards the end zone. The most dramatic play, however, took place over here with player number 12, who's a lineman named Landfried Kramer. Because this gap was opened up, it pretty much allowed Landfried Kramer, the lineman, to actually slip around. He did a blitz action, rushing twice around Reed McGraw and actually throwing a block directly into McGraw. Unfortunately, when he rolled for the block, though, Sister Sarah rolled a push. All she did is just move him up one square. That's all she actually did, so she was kind of depressed about that. But still, all said, impressive gameplay. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 5 for Nurgle's Reavers. All right, so this takes directly to the bottom of turn number 5 for Dark Lord Mac as well as Nurgle's Reavers, and a lot of damage took place. First of all, he started making an opening go down over here in the bottom line of skirmish, so that way he could start slipping his forces through. The main gauntlet, though, took place up here in the top. As you can see, managed to smash up a lot of players, putting some stun results on some players as well, so because of they are knocked out, they're currently knocked out for the most part. But the most dramatic play that took place, though, was player number 1. His name is Reed McGraw. Threw a blitz action directly into player number 12, which is this lineman over here. That is Landfried Kramer. He actually managed to get a serious injury on this one. So because of that, he is out for the rest of the game, and he will also miss his next game as well. So because of that, now that this gap is opened up, Dark Lord Mac then sent player number 2, Ma Regrar. He actually slips through directly up here using all his movement lines directly to the top line. He's going to try and make his way to the line of scrimmage. Unfortunately, he does have to worry about this thrower. He could still try to pull a blitz action on him if he's not careful, but that's the risk that Dark Lord Mac is going to take. So that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 5 for the Reikland Reavers. All right, so that takes directly to the bottom of turn number 5 for the Reikland Reavers, and Distraster strikes up here at the top right over here. What ends up happening is that one of the catchers, let's see, his name is catcher number 2, Comrade Frolich. He managed to get back on his feet again. He was really going to move up 3 squares in order to get into a blocking position for this player, so that way when Sister threw her catcher directly into the blitz, she could get up with a favorable outcome. Unfortunately for those, she failed her agility test. So because of that, she did use one of her rerolls in order to get the agility test again. Unfortunately, she rolled a second one. So just like that, he goes crashing to the ground and cause immediate turnover for the Reikland Reavers. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 6 for the Nurgle's Reavers. All right, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 1, and touchdown number 1 for the Nurgle's Reavers. McGraw actually makes it all the way, moves up his maximum allowance of 6 squares, decided to go for it real quick and decide to rush. Managed to pass his rush test. It goes directly in the end zone, and at the same time score a point, a touchdown for the Nurgle's Reavers. Just like that, now both Reikland Reavers as well as Nurgle Reavers are tied for 1-1 on this one. So with that being said, we're going to go back and set up our players for the kickoff, and we'll be right back after this. All right, so now we're back with the kickoff. Now, as you can see, both teams are, of course, all assembled. So Nurgle's Reavers, of course, kicked the ball off directly towards the Reikland Reavers. The ball originally landed here, and we also got brilliant defense for this one. Unfortunately for my buddy Dark Lord Mac, he thought at the time that all of his guys were good, so he didn't move anybody around. But the ball did scatter 6 spaces all the way up here and landed to this player. Yeah, player number 4, Gilbert Gottgraf. He's a blitzer. He did try to catch it, but unfortunately he failed his catch score. So because of the ball did bounce one more square over directly over to the Nurgle's Reavers side of the pitch. So because of that, it's going to be a very interesting game. So with that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 6 for the Reikland Reavers. All right, so that takes directly to the bottom of turn number 6. So let's talk about what ended up happening. So first of all, up here at the top, one of our linemen, as you can see, a lot of our linemen over here managed to push back a couple of players directly out of this end zone, which is pretty cool. At the same time, she also moves up her catcher as well as her thrower directly up here to go directly near the ball as well. But the most dramatic thing, however, though, probably took place with player number 5. His name is Aegis Koenig. He's a blitzer. Managed to throw a blitz directly into one of the players over here, player number 9, or over there in the casualty box. His name is Rion the Sickly. Managed to put a casualty on him, so because it put a serious injury, and he will miss out his next game because of it. So as you can see here, these players are all sweeping up directly to the top. Now for the rest of the turn, the Ogre, Thargal, and the Immovable managed to knock out and stun. Managed to stun one of the bloaters over here, so he's crashed on the ground. He's currently bleeding out. And for the rest of the turn, Sister Cyril actually did some pretty fancy maneuvering, moving most of her players from the line of scrimmage directly up to this point. Looks like she's going to try to create a gauntlet around her players and try to push through on this side on her next turn and try to make it all the way to the end zone and try to get a touchdown. At the same time, she also found a hole down here in the wide zone, moved up her second catcher right passes, so that way that she can also give herself a passing option if she needs to as well. And that pretty much makes up turn number 6 for the Reikland Reavers. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 7 for Nurgle's Rotters. All right, so that takes us to the top of turn number 7, and disaster strikes for Nurgle's Rotters. What ended up happening for his very first activation, he activated his bloater, player number 4. That player's name was Festus the Butcher. Festus the Butcher tried to do a blitz action directly onto this blitzer over here, player number 3, Andre Gavig. Managed to get both players down, so because they both go knocked down, and of course they both roll for their armor. Unfortunately for Dark Lord Mac, Festus the Butcher's armor was penetrated, rolled up and managed to penetrate his armor, and when they rolled for the casualty on this one, rolled a casualty. When they rolled the D16, rolled a 16. So because that Festus the Butcher is dead. And just like that, Dark Lord Mac has lost one of his bloaters, which is absolutely horrific in the first half of the game. At the same time, player number 3, Andre Gavig, managed to get himself a star player point, which is actually kind of cool. So that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 7 because this causes immediate turnover. We'll be back with Cicerio's actions for that one. Alright, so that takes us directly to the bottom of turn number 7 for the Reikland Reavers, and as you can see, some damage have taken place up here on the top. As you can see, Cicerio's ability to push all her players directly to the top and push forward really worked out for us. You see, she got a bunch of power results, managed to knock down a bunch of Rotters at the same time, exploiting that opening and seeing pretty much her entire team all the way through. As you can see, her catcher's got the position of the ball and is making over directly towards the end zone for her next turn. There's not really much that they might be able to do. Dark Lord Mac might be able to pull something off down over here, but for the most part, though, that's pretty much it. Now, for the bright side for the Dark Lord Mac, as well for his Nurgle's Rotters, Dark Lord Mac realized he has regeneration off of his bloaters. So because he rolled a D6 for for Festus the Butcher, managed to roll a 1 the first time around, so he burned up one of his rerolls for his casualty, rolled a 4 this time around. So because of that, Festus the Butcher is perfectly fine. He's in the reserves box right now. So that was pretty much a close call. So because he almost did die there for a second. But I guess Nurgle never dies. It just smells like it, I guess. So with that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 8 for Nurgle's Rotters. So we're back at the top of turn number 8 for Nurgle's Rotters. Pretty much an uneventful turn. As you can see, not much really happened for the most part. All Dark Lord Mac did was just stamp his 5 players for the most part and also move the ones that he could. He didn't want to risk throwing any blocks. He's afraid of losing more players. And that pretty much makes up the last turn for the first half of Nurgle's Rotters. So that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 8 for the Reikland Reavers. Alright, so we go directly to the bottom of turn number 8 for the Reikland Reavers. And touchdown number 2 for the Reikland Reavers. Player number 8, Ulrich Herzl, managed to move his maximum allowance directly towards the end zone, scoring another touchdown for the Reikland Reavers, making this game 2-1 in the very first half of the game. At the same time, also earning himself 3 star player points as well. So that's his second touchdown for the game. So he's got 6 star player points right now. So that being said, we go directly to the bottom of the second half. So because we'll be back here in a second, and we'll be back for the second half of the game. Alright, so now we're back for the second half of the game. As you can see, both teams are now lined up as well. So we go directly to the kickoff. The kickoff event, as Nurgle Rotters kicked the ball off directly towards the Reikland Reavers. The event was brilliant coaching. So once again, my 2 friends rolled D6s to see which of them will have an extra reroll, and they both rolled 4. So because that no one actually gets the reroll on this one, and the ball actually scatters all the way up here directly to the top of the white zone, and that's where the ball officially lands. So that being said, for the second half, we go directly to the top of turn number 1 for the Reikland Reavers. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 1 for the Reikland Reavers. As you can see, for the most part, they managed to kind of push back the line of scrimmage for the most part down over here in the wide zone. Managed to also really push back the line of scrimmage over here in the center of the 50-yard line, pushing back everybody back up this top as well. And the reason why is because Cicerio decided to exploit the wide zone up here at the top. She has both of her catchers as well as her blitzers up in this location at the sign, kind of created this open hole for her to actually kind of slip through if she wanted to. At the same time, she also sent her catcher, Abel Howard Froy. He actually moves up, gets the ball, runs back his normal moon allowance, and decides to kind of hold there for the moment. Now, of course, the turn ended, however, when player number 11, he's a lineman named Berthold Reese. He does try to throw a block directly into this bloater, but unfortunately for him, though, he failed it with a player down result instead. So Cicero decided not to burn a reroll because this is turn number 1 for the game. So that takes Rick to the bottom of the turn for the Nurgle's Rotters. Alright, so that takes Rick to the bottom of turn number 1 for the Nurgle's Rotters. And unfortunately for my friend Dark Lord Mac, disaster strikes. So Ninja Pappy, he tries to throw this Rotter directly into this catcher. Pretty simple, alright, because the guy's only got strength 2, he's got strength 3. You'll be able to roll 2 power dice. Rolled both players knocked down twice. So So just like that, Dark Lord Mac decided to go with the event. And to add insult to injury, his player does get stunned as well. He's currently laying on the ground. He is currently bleeding out as well. And that caused immediate turnover for this turn. So with that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Reikland Reavers. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Reikland Reavers. As you can see, some pretty amazing things happened over here. So first of all, with the movement taking place, one of the patterns of the catchers, Comrade Frolic, catcher number 2, he gets back on his feet, moves up his 5 squares in order to go directly to the wide zone. However, player number 8, Uldrich Herzl, he actually goes his full distance directly all the way to the wide zone, just a few blocks away from making it to the end zone. Now from there, player number 1, Abelhard Freud, the King Captain, actually moves up his moment at maximum amounts and decides to throw the ball directly towards player number 8, Ulrich Herzl. Now he does suffer a -2 to his throw, but he's also got passing ability too. He's also got the pass skill as well, so he decides to go for it. Sister Sarah rolls her dice and rolls a perfect 6 because the ball goes directly to him. And at the same time, manages to catch the ball, no problem with the passing the agility test. So now the ball is directly in Conrad Ulrich Herzl's possession. At the same time, Abelhard Fruit also earns themselves an additional star player point. Now, meanwhile, down over here, the Blitzers, of course, managed to push up a couple of players downward as well to get them out of the way. The only problem that they ran into, though, was Thargal the Immovable. He does try to throw a block directly into this bloater. Got both player down results because of that. They both go crashing to the ground and cause immediate turnover. So pretty much makes up Sister Serial's turn for this one. Now, the only thing she's got to worry about, of course, is this Pestigor over here because he's open. He can actually pull a blitz action directly onto this catcher if Sister Serial's not careful. So with that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for Nurgle's Rotters. Alright, so that takes directly to the bottom of turn number 2, and as you can see, some developments have taken place up here at the top of the table. So first of all, player number 1, Pestigor Reavers, the King Captain. He actually pulls a blitz action, moving all the way up directly into player number 8, Uldrich Herzl. Manages to slam directly into the blitz, and also not only does the power result, but also puts him out of action right now with a knockout result. It's because he is currently in the knockout box, seeing stars and tweetbirds and stuff as he's trying to recover. Now what that does, of course, it causes the ball to bounce directly into this square just below the hatch over here. So because of that, player number 2, Magrar, which is the Pestigor, he actually moves from the line of scrimmage, manages to escape the tackle zone, passing an agility test, and moves all the way up directly to pick up the ball, and manages to pick up the ball successfully. So now he is in possession of the ball. Now, granted, of course, he does have to worry about the rest of these players trying to blitz him directly towards the end, but so far, Dark Lord Mac is doing pretty good over there. Meanwhile, with the rest of his team, he sends with the rest of his players, as well as throws some blocking actions, as well as some pushing actions, and he also moves on one of his Rotters. Player number 11, Davion Attractus, actually moves him directly to this area, maybe to pass to, I mean, who knows what Dark Lord Mac is playing at this point. He actually might just try to run the ball, but we'll see what ends up happening. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 3 for the Reikland Reavers. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 3, and some basic actions took place over here. What ended up happening is that the Reikland Reavers sent up one of the blitzers to try to throw a blitz directly into Magrar. Unfortunately for Sister Serial, though, she rolled a push action, so all she was able to do is push him back one square for the most part. Dangerously putting this Pestigor directly into the crowd. Now, at the same time, she does move up the rest of her team members as quickly as she can in order to get into blocking positions to try to intercept the Pestigors. But that pretty much makes up her turn number 3 for this one. So that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 3 for Nurgle's Rotters. Alright, so we go directly to the bottom of turn number 3 for Nurgle's Rotters. And as you can see, a lot of dramatic things have taken place for the most part. Probably the most dramatic thing that ended up happening to knock some players down as well. At the same time, Magrar, when he actually moved up directly next to this quarterback, as you can see, he's also got a bloater as well as another Rotter next to it. He decided to do a short pass directly to this player over here. This player's name is, let me double check real quick, that is player number 11. There we go. Sorry about that. Player number 11's name is Davion Attractus. He actually moved up as well, so when Regard threw the ball, he actually caught it. It was a -1 to throw against because of this, not -1. -2 to throw against because this player was actually marking him. But because these guys were also marking that player, he got an assist. The ball was good. At the same time, they also managed to pass the agility test and caught that, rolling a 5 to pass and a 6 to catch, which is all kinds of awesome. So because that, Regard does earn himself an additional star player point, and at the same time, now this player, Davion Attractus, has possession of the ball. So he's got to try to run it for the next few turns here in a little bit. So that pretty much ends turn number 3 for this one. So with turn number 3 over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 4 for the Reikland Reavers. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 4, and what ended up happening is player number 10. His name is a lineman. His name is Tillman Becker. Managed to pass agility test to escape the tackle zone of this bloater. Actually moves up and throws a blitz directly into player number 11, Davion Attractus. Managed to get a power result on him as well, making the ball bounce over one square, over directly to this one as well, so the ball is now out in the open. Now, unfortunately, Sister did try to take a gamble to try to have her catcher try to escape the tackle zones, but unfortunately for her, though, she failed her tackle her check pretty bad, so that caused an immediate turnover as well. So with that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 4 for the Nurgle Reavers. All right, so that takes directly to the bottom of turn number 4 for the Nurgle Reavers. As you can see, some dramatic things have occurred over here on the top. First of all, these two bloaters. One bloater actually moves into position in order to block this lineman, while the second bloater moves in to do a blitz action. Managed to put a power result and also managed to knock him down as well. Now from there, player number 2, McGraw, actually slips right in as well, goes right in, picks up the ball, and continues running with his maximum move allowance and stopping, deciding not to rush the ball as well. At the same time, he's also got a Rodder protecting him, as well as this Pestic over here, player number 1, Ree McGore, the team captain. He managed to escape this tactical zone, actually moved up directly along the wide zone in order to protect the 6 o'clock position for this player. Now, of course, down over here, this bloater did try to throw a block directly into this lineman, but unfortunately got both players down. Luckily for this bloater, though, he's perfectly fine, but player number 11, Bernholt Reese, though, he is currently stunned, so he's currently on the ground, dazed as well as bleeding. And that pretty much makes up turn number 4 for this one. So turn number 4 over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 5 for the Reikland Reavers. All right, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 5 for the Reikland Reavers. And as you can see, not much has really happened for the most part. Guys are just apparently moving around. This player rolls over because he was partially stunned earlier. Meanwhile, Thargal, the immovable, tries to move up quickly as he can or drive blitz action. But unfortunately, doesn't really make it. At the same time, saying that this blitzer as well. It's because it just kind of stops just short of actually making it. Now, however, over here, this player did try to escape the tackle zone, but unfortunately that guy failed, so because that caused immediate turnover for turn number 5. So, with turn number 5, the top of turn number 5 done with, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 5 for the Nurgle Reavers. All right, so that takes directly to the top, bottom of turn number 5 for the Nurgle Reavers, and touchdown number 2 for McGraw Pestigore. Player number 2, he actually moves up his maximum allowance and decides to rush it one score over to make it directly to the end zone and scores a second touchdown for Nurgle Reavers. So now the score is currently 2-2. So because that, we will re-rack, my friends will re-rack their players, and we go directly to the top of turn number 6, and we'll be right back after the kickoff. All right, so now we're back with the kickoff. As you can see, both teams have lined up and get ready to go for this one as well. The Reikland Reavers will be receiving the ball, and for this one, when they came with the kickoff table, they rolled a 3, which was called timeout. And what ended up happening is that if you were actually on turn marker 6 or higher, you actually go back 1 space. But if you're not at turn 6 or higher, you actually go forward 1 space. So because of that, both of my friends lose a turn on this one, so that part's kind of rough. At the same time, the ball scattered over here, right here at the 50-yard line, right between the Reikland Reavers as well as Nurgle Reavers. So that's going to be very interesting to see exactly what ends up happening. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 1 for, turn number 6 for the Reikland Reavers. All right, so we're directly at the top of turn number 7 for the Reikland Reavers. So because that turn 7 was actually quite dramatic on this one. First of all, what ended up happening is that over here, this blitzer number, I believe that's number 3, Andre Gaffick, he throws a blitz action directly into player number 2, McGraw. Managed to cause a casualty, penetrate his armor, put him out with a serious injury. So because of McGraw will miss out on his next game as well. So with that hole being open now, the catchers basically run through. Player number 2, his name is Comrade Froelich. He actually runs all the way through, picks the ball, moves his maximum land directly towards the end zone. At the same time, the second catcher as well, I believe his name is Uldrich. Yeah, Uldrich Herzl. He also moves up as well in order to lend some support. Same thing with catcher, with the thrower, Abel Hard Frua. He also moves up as well in order to add some more to that area. Now over here at the top, of course, we do have a push taking place with the blitzer grunts against this bloater. Now this blitzer tries to escape the tackle zone. I think he's trying to move up to grading the blocking position for this guy, but unfortunately for him, though, he fails the initiative test, so he falls, which causes immediate turnover, which brings us directly to the bottom of turn number 7 for Nurgle Reavers. All right, so we go directly to the bottom of turn number 7. Unfortunately for my friend, Dark Lord Mac, disaster strikes. He activates player number 7. It's a runner named Cardell. He actually moves up his maximum move allowance directly to blitz this guy here, but unfortunately he's got to rush 1 square in order to do so. And unfortunately for my friend Dark Lord Mac, he rolls a 1. He's out of re-rolls for this half, so because he cannot re-roll it, so because he goes crashing to the ground, as well as his hopes and dreams. So with that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 8 for the Reikland Reavers. All right, so that takes regularly top of turn number 8 for the Reikland Reavers, and touchdown number 3 for the Reikland Reavers. Just like that, Conrad Froelich actually goes up his maximum movement allowance and actually manages to score the 3rd touchdown for the Reikland Reavers as well. So my buddy Dark Lord Mac decides to not go any further than this. He only has 1 turn, and they got it set for kickoff and everything. He's like, there's no way he's going to be able to get a touchdown. So because of that, that pretty much ends the game with a victory for the Reikland Reavers over Nurgle's Rotters. So with that being said, we're going to go to the after action report because this battle report is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Alright, so now it's time for the After Action Report from Tales from the Taco Zone Season 2. This is the After Action Report for game number 9, which was an Old World Conference game number 5 between Sister Sarah, the Reikland Reavers of the Humans versus my buddy Dark Lord Mac of Nurgle's Rotters of Chaos. Now, unfortunately for my friend Dark Lord Mac, he did lose this game, so we'll start with his team first. For injuries, he's actually suffered 2 injuries on this one. Pestigore player number 2, Magrar, as well as Rotter player number 9, Ryan the Sickly, both get seriously hurt in this game, so because of that, they will miss out on their next game. Now for advancements, Pestigore number 2, Magrar does choose the Mighty Blow skill and actually earns 20,000 gold pieces, and that pretty much makes it the advancements for this one. Now for the winnings on this one, Dark Lord Mac actually won 60,000 gold pieces, and he decided to put all the 60,000 directly into his treasury because his plan is to actually purchase a rote spawn, so that way he can put that in his team as well to make it a little bit more powerful. Now there is no change to his dedicated fans, he doesn't recruit anybody or purchase any inducements, and for his league points, he doesn't earn any additional league points because he lost the game, so he's still sitting at 3 league points. His new record now is at 1 win and 1 loss, and his new team rating now is at 1,045 points. So moving on to Sister Serial's team, the Reikland Reavers. For injuries, she actually suffered 1 injury on this one. Lineman number 12, Landfried Kramers, gets seriously hurt, so because of that, he will miss on his next game. However, 2 members of her team did advance. Player number 1, which is a thrower, his name is Abelhard Fruit. He chooses the accurate skill, so that way he gets +1 to his throws. He gets 20,000 gold pieces for that and his value increase. And catcher player number 8, Uldrich Herzl, chooses the sprint skill and also increases his point value by 20,000 gold pieces. Now for the winnings on this one, Sister Serial did win 70,000 gold pieces, and she also increased her dedicated fan base by 1, so now she has 3 dedicated fans. For recruitment, she actually hired 2 players. She hired catcher player number 7, his name is Merkel Krankenkinder, so she has a 3rd catcher on her team now, and she also recruited a halfling player number 14, which is the Powder Monkey. So because of that, for inducement, she also recruited 1 assistant coach because that is brilliant coaching kickoff event appeared quite a bit, so she realized that maybe she might have some assistant coaches help with that as well. Her league points, she earned 4 league points because not only did she win the game, but she also won it by gaining 3 touchdowns as well, which increases her total to 7 points in total. Her new record now is at 2 wins and 0 losses, and her new team value is at 1,200 points. So that's a good video for you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. You guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this week, guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.